feminism movements, I'm just getting this energy of like they're angry. And I think that anger was very much needed to get us to this level.
Of
that
course.
kind of activism was needed
Yes.
to get our
DNA structure, our cellular structure. So we all remember everything. And
Yeah.
it is this sacred feminine rage that led to the rise of the feminism movement.
masculine and feminine energies is prime. Otherwise, you're playing on deep insecurities, right?
You're playing on wounds of the
Yeah.
collective, of your past ancestors. You're just playing on wounds. We're bringing down masculine energy and we're raising feminine energy. So what was happening prior?
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the second episode of my podcast, Worthy with Ash. And today we have another very, very special guest. Firstly, thank you for being on this journey with me. We've just gotten started and we have so much more to bring onto this platform. I'm so excited. So today we have Dimple Dhalwani. She is a meditation coach and an energy healer. She's also the founder of The Spiritual One. And we're going to be talking about the masculine and the feminine energies today. Now, this is a very, very important topic. And we're going to be talking about how there is a dark side to feminism, which is breeding a lot of toxicity, especially when we see women overworking themselves, trying to prove to the society that they are worth it. Also, men who are finding themselves completely lost in this whole feminism activism. So we're going to understand the depth of it and also how the play of energy, the yin and yang, the masculine and the feminine energy can create a game, a dance. Today, Dimple is going to help us understand how and what all changes we need to bring in our lives to then bring these energies in balance. So before we get started, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. That is how I will be able to reach you with more podcasts and amazing content. And also follow me on Instagram. So let's get started.
So you've done a lot of work in terms of masculine and feminine energies. You also do many workshops around that.
Right.
I also heard of an interesting term called fine tuning, which we'll get deeper into.
Yes.
But tell us something about masculine and feminine energies and what role do they play in our lives, or how do they play a role in our lives?
It's a very interesting question to start our discussion with. I'm going to explain to you what is masculine energy first and what is feminine energy. So, masculine energy is that energy that is more about providing security, stability. It's like a foundation. Whereas the feminine energy is more nurturing, it's more intuitive, it's more caring, it's more compassionate. So, we have masculine energy and we have a feminine energy. Now, when they both come together is when we get a balance of a masculine and feminine energy. Now, masculine energy and feminine energy, we're talking about it in terms of a dimension. We're not talking about a gender base. And it's assumed over generations that he's a man and he has to be powerful because he's in his masculine energy, and she's a woman and she's in her feminine energy and she has to be subdued. You could be a man with more feminine energy and you could be a woman with more masculine energy. So we speak about the masculine energy, like I mentioned earlier. They want to provide, they want to give you security, stability, that need to keep you safe.
Yeah.
Is what a masculine energy is about. So they want to have that foundation set up for you. They want to feel that they're doing something for you. Whereas the feminine energy is very inviting, very nurturing, it's more soft. It's very compassionate.
It's more receiving.
It's more homely. So you're going to feel at home, like a mother coming and giving you a hug, as opposed to a father coming and giving you a pat and saying you can do better. Feminine energy is soft yet powerful, and the masculine energy is strong and yet powerful.
Both are powerful.
Both are powerful. And imagine, Ashmita, when they both come into balance, what a beautiful harmony we are creating.
And what happens if it's imbalanced?
So what is happening is we've generally lived in an imbalanced world of energies. So when we started off, we were balanced. When the Big Bang happened and we all came into our own different forms, there was a masculine energy and there was a feminine energy in perfect balance. It's over a period of time that the masculine energy, now I'm going to say the masculine energy. I'm not saying only men. It's the masculine energy that was got attached to males. And that became masculine energy. So the men, it was just someone who was more powerful that was using their energy to outplay you, to play, make you into a puppet. So what happened is the men, masculine energy got attached to just men, and they started really controlling women, using their power, and that gave rise to patriarchy.
And that's why God is known as a he, right? It's
Yes.
not like
A she.
not a she, not a goddess. And earlier, I remember we used to have a lot of goddesses, and we used
Right.
to pray to the
Right.
creatress as as a
Right.
goddess. And now we know mostly about the creator as a he, and it's just so ingrained in us
Yeah.
that when we think of God, oh, it's a big man.
Right, right. So that's also because the conditioning we are into.
Yeah.
Everyone knows how powerful Devi Ma is. Or
Hmm.
you go into the Chinese culture, Mother Kuan Yin, we have beautiful princess goddesses across, like you have Mother Isis. But how much are we really speaking about them? Because they are in their own divine feminine power. Now, what really happens is when these two energies come together, they form a beautiful harmony, they form a very beautiful union, which now our world is moving into. So,
Yeah.
with the fall of the patriarchy and the rise of the feminism, we reached a point where we're bringing down masculine energy and we're raising feminine energy. In this whole thing, with the fall of the patriarchy and the rise of the feminism, we want to do exactly what the masculine energy was doing, the patriarchy was doing. And that is where we are somewhere getting is wrong, is my belief, because as women and as the whole feminist dimension, the feminine energy, we're rising by embedding the masculine energy more in us.
Yeah.
We
We're
want
using that energy to
we're
feel
coming
more
up.
powerful.
Exactly. So we want to be able to provide for ourselves. We want to secure ourselves. We don't want to be dependent on someone else. Okay. Emotionally, we're the stronger part of it, whereas physically it's the male energy. So what is happening is the male energy is now being called to tap into their feminine energy to get emotionally stronger. Because when there is a drop, what is happening is what is getting attacked is the masculinity within them. That, oh my God. So to get that drop also, they have to be so in tune with their feminine energy, which is of, forgiveness, nurturing, caring, intuition, so that they come down and they understand that whatever has happened in the past is now okay, but now we can create a new future. And whereas the feminine energy, we're rising upwards, 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 but we're like completely trying to be, completely snatch something from patriarchy. We're completely trying to be mirror opposites.
Yeah.
Do we
like when I think of feminism movements, I'm just getting this energy of like they're angry, and I think that anger was very much needed to get us to this level.
Of
that
course.
kind of activism was needed
Yes.
to get our rights, to be able to earn more as compared to men.
Right.
And now, however, it's time for us to really tune in and see where we are sort of embodying the masculine to get ahead,
Yes.
instead of honoring the feminine within
Correct.
us and using that feminine to move forward and lead, instead of using the masculinity to lead.
So what you pointed out is so beautiful, right?
Hmm.
It's where I was actually coming down to. We
Yeah.
have to lead from our hearts.
I think what you said is very beautiful, where you said that we must lead from our hearts. And
Yes.
I believe heart is a place where the feminine meets the masculine.
Exactly. When we speak of the yin and yang,
Yeah.
how is the symbol of the yin and yang made? There is a part of the yin in the yang, and there is a part of the yang in the yin. And this is something that we need to remember, that we can dance in our own flames, in our own fire. Black and white can be black and white, but still when they come together, they merge beautifully in shades of gray.
Wow.
And this is what union is, of the masculine and the feminine. If you see, we pray to Lord
Yeah.
Ardhanari Shakti. What is that? It's Lord Shiva and the goddess Parvati. Their half bodies together put to one. Historically, ancestrally, culturally, we're doing all the things right, but somewhere We just kind of let's say we lost our track, and now we're coming back to our track. And that's where fine tuning is coming in.
Yeah.
So a generation which didn't want to compromise. I tell everyone, life is not about compromise. Like a lot of them will come to me, we don't want to get married. Women, we don't want to compromise. Men, we don't want to compromise. My next question to them is, who's asking you to compromise? It's a old based concept of compromising. We're fine tuning to each other. We're fine tuning. We're understanding. And it's the stigma that's associated with marriage, the rituals, the expectations.
And also Seema auntie, right?
Of course, let's not get into that. So in a generation with the rise of feminism, there was anger, but this anger came from a whole generation of women that were stabbed, that were trolled, that were not allowed to do what they wanted to. We all carry our ancestors' imprints within us. I always say we are our own ancestors, because a part of us is coming from them, our DNA structure, our cellular structure. So we all remember everything. And it is the sacred feminine rage that led to the rise of the feminism movement. But now it is reaching a point where, or rather reached a point where it's fire, right? Fire can burn, fire can create, and fire can destroy. You light a fire to create arti, but you can light that entire fire to burn a forest down. So how you fine tune the fire energy within you is what is important. So that fire energy has resulted us in becoming a generation of hyper independent women. We're getting toxic in our own fire. We're getting toxic in our own independence without realizing that somewhere we're doing the same thing that men did to us in patriarchy. So we're slamming down men, we're slamming down patriarchy, but is everyone in patriarchy the same? So it's about understanding where to use that rage, where not to use the rage. Fine tune your fire. You have a gas cylinder. Are you always going to cook food on high flame? Something called slow roasted meat. Why is slow roasted meat even tastier when cooked overnight? It's still fire. So it's how slowly you light your own fire lamp within you and use that energy to create rather than destroy. So we needed the destruction. Now it's time to create. But we create from a space of balanced energies. That's where union comes in. You're internalizing all your energies together and then you're creating something beautiful. You're creating something new. So you're respecting the masculine energy. You're respecting the feminine energy. And together when they come, there's a new energy of beautiful union.
That's beautiful. I want to ask you this. What is the dark side of feminism, which you just spoke about? Or how does it show up in relationships? Because I would actually start with an example here. When I began my relationship with Yash, I was very angry and full of rage that I can do this. You know, if he's picking up some heavy stuff, I'd be like, why? I can do this. Because that's what we had been taught, that you have to now fight because you're equal. You have to prove it to the world that you're as equal as men. And so I had this rage to prove them that, hey, you don't need to pick up my heavy stuff. I can do it myself. And so I would always be like, no. If he's dropping me to the airport, I'd be like, no, I can go myself. Why should you drop me? And later on, I realized that this was really getting very toxic, or just it was taking out the fun from the relationship, where I could have just allowed him to take care of me. So once I learned that and I calmed my rage, now I let him pick all my heavy stuff. Like today I was just saying that I'd done my nails, so I let him help me with my shoes, with my clothes, with my hair, and I loved that. I loved being taken care of by him. I love when he picks up my heavy stuff. Now I no longer pick up any heavy stuff. I'm like, you take it out, you can take it out, because I know that's his strength. But it took me some time to reach to that space of realization that this is becoming dark and toxic. What are some of the examples that you have which can show us the dark side of feminism?
So I think you very beautifully put it into your example of, you being in a relationship with Yash and all the journey, you summed it up very beautifully. I'm just going to put more light on it. Is, you know, we are designed differently, men and women, right? When initially you mentioned that you were asked to prove, who asked you to prove? Did Yash ask you to prove?
No.
No. Did his parents ask you to prove? Did your parents ask you to prove? No. So what happened is, on the collective front, the energy that was there, we picked onto it. And we became part of it without even sitting down and questioning, does this apply to me? Does this matter to me? Do I need this? When did we sit down and just ask? Did you sit down and initially ask yourself, do I need to prove a point to him? Is he really trying to use me and tangle me into a puppet energy, or am I not enjoying what he's giving me? So what happened is, we became part of the collective energy. I'll give you a simple example of what collective energy is. There was COVID. Now, there were some people who were fearful and there were some people who weren't. So the people who gave into fear became part of the collective energy. But then there were people who didn't give into fear. And these are the people, if you go back and see, actually, it is their energy that helped us dispel the fear energy. And there was just a handful.
Yeah, there were just a handful.
And this is what fearless means. So everything we were operating is out of this collective fear wound, which was needed, right? But now that you have this understanding, because what happened was, without really consciously realizing, yes, there is a section of patriarchy that's still bringing us down, but there is a huge section of men that are standing up for women, that are speaking for women's rights, that are actually the men who are taking care of us. What about them? Why aren't they speaking up? Because we haven't given them a space to speak. There is no safe space for men to come and speak up. The whole Me Too movement. Do you think men don't go to Me Too? I had so many men who wrote back saying that we've gone through this, but if we were to come out and share, they will say, you must have done something to the girl. Right? So again, I'm not talking to you of the men who are actually part of the Me Too movement and who are responsible. There is a section of men who also get harassed, and we're not talking about it because they don't have a safe space to talk about it, and they're so scared that what if we go up and say, and what if? So the fear, so what is happening is the fear is guiding them. So when they come into their feminine energy, when they're now tuning into the feminine energy, they're allowing themselves to let go of the fear so that they can now be present for themselves. So what happens is, in this whole hustle culture that we've reached of hyper independence, we want to do everything by ourselves.
But what is your opinion on that? Who do you think should pay on the first date? Should it be a man paying, or should women pay for their own on their first date?
So when you're asked out on a date, the feminine energy is more receiving, the masculine energy is more giving. So what happens is, when you're out on a date, you're more in your peak feminine energy. You want to be wooed, you want the flowers, you want to feel special. So you are expecting them to open the car door, a gesture. You're expecting them to pull the chair for you. You're expecting them to let you sit down before them. Right? And the man, he's in his peak masculine energy, right? So he wants to do all this. He wants to provide. He wants to make you feel special. So in that energetic sense, yes, I would say the man should pay, because he wants to provide. He wants to give. That energy is of giving, and the feminine energy is of receiving. Now, what has happened is, women have become, I call them, I use this term, very masculine women. So what happens is, we become so high on our masculine energy that we come in expecting that we want to receive all this, but our guards are up, our walls are up, and the masculine energy of feeling safe, because see, masculine energy is safety. So it exists within you. So you want to feel safe because this is your first date. You don't know how it's going. So you have all of that, but you've built a wall. So now it's two masculine energies against each other. Both want to give, both want to provide. It's like two engines. Now both are going to collide. And that's where the dispute is going on, because it's like women have risen, which is great, But we need to rise only so much to balance our masculine energy. We have to bring our masculine energy up. Our feminine energy is coming up. What we are going is we're going higher. But in our masculine energy. So what happens is when you're in a union of your own masculine feminine energy, automatically the energy understands when to come into feminine energy and take lead, and when to come in masculine energy and take lead.
Yeah.
So the feminine energy, and this is very important in relationships, and that is why they say till you don't understand yourself, till you're not whole within yourself, till you don't understand self-love, self-worth, self-compassion, self-nurturing, self-esteem, how to provide for yourself, how to be secure, how to be safe, you will never understand the opposite person.
Yeah.
So you have to now, the importance is you become whole. And then you attract a whole, because then even that whole knows energetically when to take a back step and when to take a forward
then
step.
It becomes like a dance, like you said.
It becomes a
where
dance
the
of
man
life.
where the masculine is sometimes taking the front seat, or the feminine.
Yes.
And that masculine can be you sometimes.
Yes.
Let's say you have
Exactly.
to pay the bills, or you have to do something else in your house. And when it comes to, let's say, the man, maybe his masculine takes over when there's some shifting to do in the house.
Correct.
So it totally depends on the play and the situation, but understanding your masculine and feminine energies is prime. Otherwise, you're playing on deep insecurities, right?
You're playing on wounds of the collective, of your past ancestors. You're just playing on wounds. And so far, we've all played on wounds. What you spoke about was somewhere activated in your DNA. You're playing from your wound. I was getting to know a person, and I remember, I'm like, but I can't do this. I can't do this. You can't do this. It's like, hold on. Did I do this? Did my parents say this to you? And I was like, no. And that's when that reality check comes in, that, wait a minute, why am I inflicting somebody else's wound on my relationship? It's the fear, because we don't want to be burnt down again. We don't want to be, we're so scared that we don't want to lose our independence. That we've actually become a generation where we are okay to live without human relationships, and constantly, with the rise of online dating, we're okay to do that rather than commit into a full-time relationship which requires understanding, nurturing, caring, dropping your guards, because we are so scared that we've allowed fear to dictate us. I know lots of couples, lots of people women are so, like I'm going to say, they don't know how to receive from their partners anymore. They let's say their partners booked a holiday from them, but we have to pay. Everything has to be split. I know couples today also who are splitting their bills. I'm like, y'all are a couple, y'all live together, y'all have a joint account. So what is it? So somewhere we're living in that thing where we don't know when to bring our guards down and how to bring our guards down.
And when to receive. And
when to receive, and to pick, and when to know, allowing the man to just take front, because the masculine energy is providing,
and it also thrives on giving, right? If it's able to provide you, even though you can pay for your own holiday, if it can still pay for you, it will feel more fulfilled, and that's who they are.
That is who they are. And
but there's one thing that I want to ask you here. Sorry to interrupt, but a lot of, I read these comments somewhere where they said that if you want a man to pay for you, if you want him to provide for you, then get ready to do all the housework. Get ready to take care of him and do all the things that he wants. Then you come down back to where you were. What do you think about that?
This is coming from an old energy program. But before we tap onto this question, I would like to clarify that when I said a man ideally in his peak masculine energy will provide for, so will pay on the first date, there will be times where on the second, on the third date, you will want to pay. And I promise you, your man won't have an objection at that time. Tried and tested. I've done it myself. My clients have done it. My friends have done it. We've spoken to I speak to a lot of energy healers, to a lot of psychologists, counselors, and they say, so what happens is, energetically, the man knows that it's okay if she pays. It's not hitting my masculinity that I cannot pay for. It's not hitting a wound. Right? So it comes up to the question of the next one will be proposals. Every time it's expected that a man should propose, right? When ideally, if you understand energetically, the woman always picks her partner. It's the lady, the feminine, that will always pick her partner.
And then the man proposes.
And then the man aligns energetically, which is all higher level work, on the subconscious level, on a deeper conscious level. And then the man proposes. So if you're in a balance of energies, if today the woman proposes, the man is going to enjoy it. But when the man proposes, the woman is also going to enjoy it. Because now you're coming from a balanced space. So you're not picking onto a wounded energy. As opposed to previously, so we've reached a point where we are like, no, we have to ask a man out on a date. We want to take things in our hands and we have to propose. So we're all become like, we just want to prove a point. But are we actually doing it in alignment is the question. So in this our whole energy is now towards hustle and proving. We've become a generation where we want to prove that we can drink like our fathers, we can drink like men, we can work out like them, we can carry heavy weights like them. I'm sorry, but we've got it all wrong. And you know why? It's because we are designed differently as women and men. Our hormones are different. We are more softer. We have reproductive organs. The men don't have that. It is believed that during her menstruation, she has the power to co-create. And that's why they tell you that is the time, ladies, do not go to temples to bow down, because what you're bowing down to is a man-made creation. Who created God? Who created these idols? It was for us. So it's the feminine energy at its divine peak that's actually going down and bowing down to a...
Is that why? Because we've not been told that.
Exactly.
We've been told something about the energy going up and you going down. That's what I've heard. Like when they say that you can't visit temples on periods, it's because your energy is going in the downward spiral and the temple's energy is going in the upward spiral.
It is true. But it's also because somewhere you're in your peak energy of co-creation. Who has the power to co-create besides what we all term to be God, the universal energy? At that time, you're in your peak. As opposed to the stigmas that have come up. You can't do this, you can't do that. You are dirty, you are unclean, you can't touch this, you can't touch that.
What I found wrong about this whole situation was when they said that women are forbidden to go to the temple.
Yes.
That word. Yes. That didn't sit right with me.
Correct.
Because, okay, even if I am going to a temple on my periods, I am doing it because I want to do it. Okay, there might be repercussions. It might not be something which is energetically good for me, but I want to do it. And so I shouldn't be forbidden. And that's the word that I felt was a little bit misplaced.
Yes.
And that felt like intrusive. Like you cannot, that's when that rage rises, because you're like, you cannot tell me. I get to decide if I want to go or not go.
So that's how you use your feminine rage. See, it's the play of words. Like you have to compromise to get married. Who said that? Who decides that? So a lot of women don't want to get married because they don't want to compromise. And the minute I tell them that it's fine-tuning, you fine-tune with your parents, you fine-tune with your friends, your colleagues, they're like, yeah. Why didn't we think about this earlier?
Because it's
because the words are so I'm not saying that people haven't gone through this. The prior energy was that you were marrying for protection, safety, and security. That is not true anymore. Today you are going to marry or marrying because you choose to be with that person. It's a choice. It's a free will choice that two people make together. That is why you see we have LGBTQ plus. Because two people are making a choice to be together. It's not a man and a woman who has to make the choice. Two people. As long as they know each other, they understand each other, they want to be with each other.
Yeah.
Correct? So it is the energy that we come out with. When we're used with these stereotype words, that's what brings the rage in us. And that is what So the people who started the rise of the feminism movement, They had to do it to bring it up to this level, where now from this level we decide how we want to take it forward. Do we want to do what the patriarchy did, or do we want to be in compassion and understanding and forgiving?
And using our strengths.
And using the strength of forgiveness, that okay, they did misuse us, but let's not do what they did. Otherwise, it's just tu meme. You did this, I did this, you did this, I did this. And we're never going to reach a balance or a conclusion.
It's an ego war and nobody wins.
Exactly. So now the new energy is more about, like coming back home, bringing in more security, peace, calmness, understanding. If you see a lot of the older generation, their marriages are in trouble, their relationships are in trouble, because that energy template is over. So now there is nothing left. They can provide for themselves. They are secure within themselves. They're stable within themselves.
So you mean that they married for that security and stability.
Yes.
And the
providing.
And that need is gone. Like they're fulfilling it themselves.
Because you've risen in your masculine energy. You're providing for yourself. You're safe within yourself. You're secure within yourself. I'm talking of inner security, inner stability, inner providing, which we needed the rise of feminism movement to tell us externally we can do all this, and now internalize it.
And once that's done, like the relationship is no longer needed.
Then again what happens is, on a higher level, are you willing to accept that I have changed? Right? Now what happens is, in relationships, because I am so secure within myself, I don't need an opposite person to tell me that I'm secure. I don't need you to complete me. We're not two halves that need to be completed. Now it's two wholes have to come together
and play a game together
and play the dance together, have fun. So today I want to take you out, I'll take you out tomorrow, you want to take me out. So they're fun. Like you said, your relationship started becoming fun because you dropped your own, what I'm going to say, the own mental cobweb that you built around yourself. You dropped your guards, you found it safe. Because you knew, okay, I can, I can be around him. I can be safe. I can let my guards down. But how did that happen? It took time.
And also the right man.
The right man. Now, what was happening previously was, in marriage, you meet and you get married. Or you date a couple of months before, or you get to know. So what is happening is, are you really emotionally corded to that person? You don't know.
No, you don't
know. Now,
know.
when you start staying in, we've all been told, act in a particular ideal way so that you're accepted into the family. Now you're accepted into the ideal role that you've played. How long will you be that? 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? After that, you're going to come into your own self, because this is who you are at the core. Now imagine the rest of the family is adjusted to your ideal self. And now you're suddenly a whole different person. The real you
is coming
and now
out.
They are like, who is this person?
Yeah.
Is this the real one, or is that the real one?
Yeah. And that's why the marriages are breaking.
And that's why marriages are breaking, because we've been told. I have experienced this myself. The minute I've gone to see boys on an arranged marriage, there's like this whole template that I'm into. I have to do this. I have to say these things, right? So one day I sat back and I'm like, none of us are moving forward in this conversation, because both of us are telling two different things. Our parents are writing. Not mine. Luckily, I write my own profile. But parents are writing profiles. The boys don't know. The girls don't know. So they are writing what they want. Whereas I know so many couples who are like, the first thing we ask is, are you okay if I drink and smoke because my parents don't know about it? And the boy's like, yeah, we're okay. And they're like, perfect, let's get married. And I'm like, that's not how marriages are built. You have to see compatibility. You have to see emotions. I'm giving examples, and this is where marriages are failing. And this is why the rise of the live-in culture is coming in, is because it's the energy that's saying, stay together, see if you really want to be with
Otherwise,
each other.
It's a big gamble.
It's a big gamble. It's a big gamble. I'm not saying, coming back, something I didn't want to talk to, Seema auntie, her, everyone has spoken about how she says you have to compromise. But none of the episodes you see where a strong independent woman has been celebrated. We're still celebrating patriarchy to that. But he wants this. And when she wants it, oh, she's too demanding. Oh, she's too difficult. Are we really difficult? Or are we just not easy anymore to manipulate?
Yeah.
So again, you see how
That's
it is
important.
women against women. If women support each other as a community, man saying, oh, she's too difficult. Is she really too difficult? Or is she not giving into your manipulation? So what happens? They drop that girl. They label her difficult and they move on to other girls who are easy. Now, why are they easy? They're easy because they're giving into your manipulation. You know, we see men or women, older age, marrying younger, like literally 30 years, 40 years. Why? Because they're easier to control, they're easier to manipulate, because they're still figuring themselves out. 21, 22, 23, you're figuring life out. You've just stepped out of college, you're just tasting adulthood. You're not an adult. Just because you have signing rights doesn't make you an adult. And this is somewhere where we've lost the plot. At 18 and 21, men are expected that they should know to get into the family business, or they should be earning and working, and women have to be, like, we need to know that we are independent, we have to act like an adult. And suddenly everyone is like, wait. And in the whole process of adulting, we've lost the connection to our inner self, the child within us. And this is where these concepts now need to realign, retune, refine, so that we can become better individuals within ourselves to attract the right people.
I've also seen this in working women a lot. Like, I see them suffer terribly, especially working women who are mothers. They are going through shit because they've built this concept in themselves that they have to do everything. They have to be good at work, but they cannot be good at work anymore because, they have a child now. So they suddenly, because of the leaves that they've taken, maternity leaves, they suddenly start feeling insecure, unworthy. Like, I see them struggle and I feel, my God, you're doing everything. You're managing everything. And you still don't believe in yourself. And you still don't believe that you're worthy of your boss's approval or of good work, or you can do it. You've done it.
Asmita, I'd like to just add to this. A lot of times we're not looking out for outside approval, we're looking out for inside approval. Internally, we've created this template, right? Where we are like, we have to do this, we need to do this, and that's coming from that hyper independence. So what is happening is, when we come back home, we're still in our yang energy. We're not dropping and coming back to our yin energy. It's like, how when it's dusk time, your body slowly starts, it's night, your body starts getting into sleep mode. Why are so many people unable to sleep? Because we're in our hyper modes. We're unable to surrender to the yin within us. We're unable to surrender to our own self.
I was completely like this, like when I was just graduating college and I was working for a startup. I would work for hours and hours. I would work late nights only to prove that I can work late nights and I can come back home late. Even though it's late, it's unsafe, I would put myself through that adventure of sorts to just prove that I can do it and I'm no less.
Isn't it so beautiful that it's us who did all this and now we realized it? So now we are bringing the change. It's together. But had we not walked this path, would we know that we need to bring this change?
No.
So now we're building a bridge for our future generations.
I remember I harmed my health during that time, doing that, going over and out, over giving to people pleasing all the time, making sure everyone likes me, everyone thinks that I fit in this glamour world of startups and I'm as cool as any other male entrepreneur out there. I was in that over hustle culture, trying to fit in the glamorized world of the startups, and I was doing just about everything to make
I
sure.
would like to say, as women, we're really stupid that we want to be at par and equal as men, when we know we are so much more powerful than them. We have the power to co-create, we have the power to choose, we have the power to actually just be who we want to be. And somewhere we're losing that. Why do we want to be an equal? Yes, we need to be equals within ourselves. The energy within us has to be equal. We don't have to prove to the external patriarchy that we're equal to them. As long as we do it internally, it's a ripple effect. I do it internally, you do it internally. It will start rippling outside and the whole world will now become balanced energies. When women take maternity leaves, we're at a peak of a yin energy where we have to be more available, nurturing, and caring to our kids.
And to ourselves.
And to ourselves. We've just created a new family. Our body has gone through so much. We've got cut, we've got stitched. We have postpartum mood swings. Our hormones are playing over. We have ourselves, we go through so many changes, and in that now we're inviting new changes, we're inviting more difficulties. I'm not saying, see, if you have to provide for the family, you will go out there and do it, but given an option also, would you really do it? The man will then take center stage and be like, I have to provide, because I cannot. If the man is compassionate enough in his feminine energy, he will understand. Ashmita, I've worked with so many women in their 30s who are single, undergoing IVFs, who are on the pills and having so many hormonal issues, they're living in with their partner, but they are unable to commit. Because the minute the masculine energy wants to commit, they get scared and they pull back because they're so scared to let their guards down. And I understand that fear is important.
Yeah.
The mind perceives fear as, it's telling you, it's a caution. It's telling you, hey, you have to be safe. But you cannot allow that fear to dictate your life. So when they come for workshops, healing sessions, and I explain them, I know so many of them who've gone on to get married, who've gone on to commit deeper in their live-in relationships, who are happy doing what they want to be without the need to prove even to themselves. So now, with the women dropping their guards, the men are also finding it safer to rise their feminine energy.
Yeah.
And this is what is the future.
What do you think of men who are overly practical and overly logical, and they are like, everything is logical?
So they come from the masculine energy side. And there are men who are over the generations, they've seen so much of trauma that they don't want to become like probably their fathers, their grandfathers, or the men around them, the patriarchy, that now they have got so dim into their own masculine energy that they cannot get up. They cannot even get up and say, I love you.
Yeah.
Why? Because they're so scared that their fear is that we don't want to become them. So there are conscious men, but they are so fearful that we don't want to become byproducts of what we've seen. So they don't want to step into those kind of, but that's where that lies. You have to allow them that safe space to rise. And as women, we are going to have to do that.
So we've seen that there's a dark side to feminism, right? We also know the light side where we've done our activism. We've reached till this point where the feminine is rising.
Correct.
What do you see is the future of feminism? Where is the balance? How do we take this forward in a more balanced way instead of that sacred rage? Because I feel now, yes, sacred rage is needed in some places, but in some places we don't need it anymore.
Correct.
In some places we need to play by our strengths, which is our nurturing nature, our caring, our emotional intelligence. We need to come into a realization that we as women are powerful and use that power. So how do you think we can bring more of that in balance in all the areas of our lives?
It's the same thing that I started with. Your internal balance of the masculine and feminine energy. Because once you are in balance, you will exactly know when to use what, right? It's like saying, what example can I give you? The flame of a gas, right? You need it to cook food, correct? But which type of food are you cooking decides the flame. So that is how the future is. With the death of patriarchy, the rise of feminism, right? Somewhere we've come where now it is time to bring both together on the same. And how is that going to happen? Not by fighting externally, not by going out there and proving a point. You internalize your masculine and feminine energies into a union. Because when you do that, I'm automatically going to come out with that energy to my surroundings.
And how do you do that?
Okay, so there are lots of ways to do that. That's actually a very brilliant question you asked. You can do that through taking accountability, taking responsibility, meditations, healings. You become part of like-minded communities. You get into creative activities, self-reflection, inner world. You actually have to sit down with yourself. You can do yoga, you can do dance. I say bring in any form where you're spending time with yourself, and be open to accepting your mistakes, be open to accepting the flaws within you.
Yeah.
But at the same time, be open to accepting your strengths. Because we pay so much attention that this is wrong and this is bad, and we become critics of our own self that we forget to become people who can appreciate ourselves, and then we're looking out for validation from others.
So recently I've made a lot of changes in my life. Past few months I've started to wake up and do my work, my gratitude, my meditation, and ending my day also with something which helps me come back into my body. And this whole self-care routine that I've established is helping me come back to my feminine. It's helping me also build boundaries where needed, which is where the masculine comes in. So having more personal boundaries where I'm no longer people pleasing anymore, because when I'm doing self-care activities, my confidence in myself, my self-image is building up, because I'm like, oh, I'm doing this, which is amazing. Like I'm practicing gratitude, that's amazing. I'm walking every day, that's amazing. Like, so that's building my confidence, that I no longer want to people please, no longer want to put myself down in order to fit into someone else's equation, to make sure I'm liked by them. And that is something that has also helped me heal my masculine and my feminine energies to a whole new level. Like my first level was to allow and receive from my partner. That's when I really started to understand that this rage is not useful here. Like, I don't need it here, because this man is not really someone who's trying to put me down. So why am I trying to get up and say, hey? So that was
why am I shooting the guns?
Yeah. So that was my first, level of clearing that happened when I allowed, when I let go, and when I allowed him to come in and I released my walls. Then came a whole new level where I realized that I was a people pleaser. Where I would just people please, become someone else, have a mask.
So that is why when you come into balance, there are a lot of things out there where, the constant need, self-love, 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 it's almost become a toxic term now. And someone comes and tells me self-love, I'm like, do you know what self-love is? Do you understand what self-love is? In the bargain of wanting to have self-love, we've pushed people away from our lives because we like self-love, 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 self-love. No,
that's not true self-love.
That's not true self-love. True self-love is when you're holding space for yourself, and at the same time you're holding space for someone else. So you're respecting yourself and the other person. So there are different ways, boundaries, you stop people pleasing, you understand meanings for what it is. You know how quick we are, this man is narcissist, this woman is a narcissist. Are they really that? Or are you putting your insecurities shield on it and calling them that? Whether it's men or women. I'm not talking about either one. I'm talking about an energy. So now we're going to direct from our energy perspective, from our heart. We're leading from our heart. We're leading from our energy. So what is really happening is, when we are doing that, we have the understanding. We're coming from compassion, nurturing, understanding. At the same time, we're coming from strength. Because when these energies align, they come and align at your heart center. Again, we'll talk about our physical heart. We have a higher heart that we all operate from, which is now going to be spoken about a lot more. Your higher heart is where you operate from. It is where there is a merger of beautiful energies of the masculine and feminine. So when you're merging energies, the yin and the yang, there is a part of the feminine in the masculine, there's a part of the masculine in the feminine. If you understand that, you will know that you're leading from balance, from union.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing all of these amazing words of wisdom with us today. I think we took back a lot, especially to do with the balance of the masculine and the feminine energies. Do you have any last words you want to give to the audience?
No, I'd just love to thank you for giving me this opportunity and speaking about this topic. It's been so dear to me, and this is actually the first time I'm speaking about it on a public forum and not on a one-to-one client base. So it feels good. It all starts with the first step. So please go ahead and start really working on your internalizing and unifying your own masculine, feminine energies, so that we all live in a better world.
Wonderful. Can you tell us ways in which we can connect with you, in which audience can connect with you?
So you can connect with me through my Instagram page. It's called The Spiritual Wand, and I take clients out of that. If not, you can always share my number with someone who connects to you personally.
Absolutely done. Thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you.
in.